podcast. Today I'll be talking about how 16 Personalities is misinforming those who are new to MBTI. First, let's go over a quick rundown of 16 Personalities. It is described as a simple site to get into MBTI, even though it never directly says it is, and it allows you to take a simple test for your type as long as with a cute avatar to go with it. It tells you only 10 minutes to get a freakishly accurate description of who you are and why you do the things the way you do. It brings all 16 types into 4 clusters: analysts, diplomats, sentinels, and explorers. You may assume this is all accurate for the traditional MBTI standard. Well, it is not. Let's go into how 16 Personalities is exactly MBTI. First of all, from what I know, although my knowledge is slim, MBTI is sorted into 4 different houses. In cognitive functions, which I seem to be the main way to view MBTI and so others do, each type has all functions and different values. This is not true with 16 Personalities. You are either this or that in 16 Personalities, giving cookie-cutter aspects to the test and the types. The Myers-Briggs type indicator has only 4 letters, not 5, unlike the big 5 personality types. This creates a dilemma as it makes newcomers think the T and A aspects of the 16 Personalities test important to MBTI. So what is the T and A? 16 Personalities make its framework, or quote-unquote theory, similar to Big 5 as it uses 5 traits instead of 4, like how I just had mentioned. Identity, also known as the T and A part of 16 Personalities, is similar to the neuroticism trait in Big 5, high neuroticism being T and low neuroticism being A. We will get into how 16P is basically the same thing as Big 5, rather than MBTI later. In my way, the T and A that 16 Personalities has added is a way to separate themselves from MBTI, or to say, a way to make them unique. However, these traits are not a part of MBTI. So what is similar between the 16 Personalities and Big 5 model? I believe 16 Personalities is more similar to Big 5 than MBTI. In my eyes, it is just an MBTI lettered version of Big 5, and I've kind of proved to show that. In the Big 5 model, there are 5 traits, just like 16P. The Big 5 traits in the Big 5 Ocean model are openness, consciousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Then we have the 5 traits in 16P, which are energy, mind, nature, tactics, and identity. All traits have 2 parts to it, the Ocean model having high-low, while 16P has different letters for these parts. So let's continue on the similarities between 16P and Big 5 model. This will get quite repetitive, but first let's go over to the energy and extroversion trait of these. Energy is separated into 2 sections, I and E. Introverted being solitary, semi-antisocial, and sensitive to senses. Extroverted being quite energetic, social, and upbeat. Now, extroversion in Big 5 is basically the same, low extroversion being basically introverted and high extroversion being extroverted. The mind aspect is similar to openness. The mind trait is 2 parts, observant and intuitive. Observant folks are practical and down-to-earth, while intuitives are imaginative, curious, and open-minded. This means that being observant tends to focus on the now, and intuitives are future-focused. Now, openness is not exactly the same, as it seems to focus on how creative the person is. Those with high openness are creative, imaginable, abstract, and overall similar to those who are intuitive. Then we have the low openness trait, that is the opposite of high, relating to the observant trait from 16P. To sum the rest up, the thinking and feeling nature is similar to low and high neuroticism. Then the judging and prospecting and tactics aren't that similar to the low and high agreeableness, but there are some similarities. Finally, there are assertive and turbulent traits in identity that 16P line up well with high and low consciousness. I have found many opinions online about 16 Personalities, and there is a critique of 16 Personalities, that is the title of the article that I had found, by Sienna Vogelweed, which I think is how you pronounce it, and it sticks out to me. She has a good point in saying it truly points that it is a ripoff of personality typology theory known as MBTI. There are three other main points that I want to talk about in her critique. First, oversimplification. She says it abandons MBTI theory in favor of simplicity, which ignores cognitive functions. Secondly, the 16 Personalities website has deceptive practices in it which ban discussions of alternate personality theories like Big Five or traditional MBTI on their forum. Lastly, users of 16 Personalities commonly confuse with MBTI due to the similar and simple terminology. Now, I will stray off a little bit, and I have actually gotten other people's opinions from the personality database saying that it isn't really a valid typology source, and most users do not like it. And I found that on TikTok and other social medias, people cling to these 16 personality types and tend to, like I said, it would get them confused with the actual MBTI. And I don't know. It seems to be that people are trying to simplify MBTI down such into a little, I don't know. I would say, I don't really understand, but this person named Blueprint on Personality Base says, can't stand it, not just because it's inaccurate, but also because I find it cringe. And then this other person says, antithesis. Their point is, there's a lot of misconception and stereotypes about all the personality types, which partly created generalizations. Example, feelers are more empathetic while thinkers are emotionally insensitive. And this other user named Hisia says, it's just a silly test for fun with friends, which I do agree with that. But I would rather, if you want to get to know your friends more, you should probably take something else like Saki Norva, even though it doesn't really explain the types. It's just a simple test, even though it's very long. This person named Kura says, not accurate at all because it doesn't use cognitive functions, which is a big part of the actual theory of MBTI. Then this other person named Anwar says, it's like some type of superficial pop psychology. And then we go to Quora. I didn't ask this question. I didn't ask if it was an inaccurate form of MBTI, but this person named William Smith says that the online version of the MBTI will give good readings if your orientations and function preferences are well within preference. And he says that he dislikes the 16 Personalities version in adding the turbulent and assertive dimension, which is the T and A, because it distorts Jung's original scheme. And it says the Big Five is quite different from MBTI. So if you are interested in one more view of elements from within personality, take both, and don't take a simplified version of them. And personally, I think if you want to get an accurate MBTI reading or just typology in general, you will have to research a lot. And I think having 16 personalities be one of the most popular forms of personality typology that's around these days, I think it really creates a lot of confusion, like I have mentioned, because they use the same letters as MBTI, and I don't mean to repeat myself, I just don't think it's a valid source of personality types. And I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but I personally think that it's just like what the person said, pop psychology, sorry. But I think based on what 16 Personalities looks like, they are trying to make it more kid-friendly than most personality types that are alike, because usually personality typology is a very serious thing. I don't know if it's really regarded in psychology, but I really hope it is, even though there's not that much math behind it. But you can go on their website and learn about the different types, and they simplify it down in different sections, which I do see things like on the Personality Base wiki, they do kind of do that. in a way, but I just don't think 16 personalities, like, I don't want to use a strong word like hate, but I really dislike it in the way of how it confuses people so much. And I wish, like on TikTok, they would, I don't want to stray away from the topic at hand, but on TikTok, they'll be like, oh, your type is this, and people will be like, oh, I'm the rarest type. And it's like, you learn that from 16 personalities, and then I tell them that, and they're like, no, that's a valid source. I'm like, that's not MBTI, that's your 16 personalities type. And I just really think that they should probably do some rethinking into personality, because like I said, 16 personalities is cookie cutter and thinks just because you think this way, you're that. But that's not how, like, in cognitive functions, that's not how that really works. You use all the functions in many different ways from what I know. And that goes the same with socionics, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know much about socionics, so I probably shouldn't be talking, but I really think this is an interesting topic at hand. And I've devoted, like, I don't want to stray again, but I've devoted a lot of my life to MBTI, probably about 3-4 years now. I would say maybe even 5 if possible, but I really have devoted myself to my research, and it has, like, learning about people and personality and stuff. I wonder how it connects to mental disorders, and I don't think most people realize that. And I guess this podcast I am recording, it's more about just MBTI and typology in general, kind of straight down from 16 personalities and informing those people, but I don't really know. I think that this is just a loophole to get into because so many people hate 16 personalities, and I also dislike it. And I really think that people say it's a scam, even though they're not scamming you out of, I don't know what you would say, like money, but you go to places like Quora and Personality Base and like other websites, and it even says like on job websites that you should never use the 16 personalities test to hire people because it's not accurate. You can't whittle someone down into a single letter of types. That's why there's so many typology theories out there today, because it allows you to be yourself in a way. Like, everyone has their own specific typology. Like, I myself, I'm an INFP 4W5, and going into other ones, like, from what I know, like, I'm social self-preservation and EII and other stuff like that. Even though I don't really know what that means exactly. But some websites, they'll say that 16 personalities is accurate, and I guess in a way it is accurate, but it's not accurate in the MBTI sense. And I think it really just creates a lot of different, I don't know, confusion. And I mean, I don't know, I just never liked 16 personalities. I always thought it was inaccurate, but I guess it's just its own theory, and people have to understand that it's its own theory, and not MBTI or Big Five. Like, even though they may have similarities, they have tons of similarities with Big Five. And I think your type probably, it depends on what type you get. I think you'll probably line up with Big Five on whatever point that you get, but I think that's really all I wanted to talk about, unless we go into people don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to, like, I don't know. People don't understand the history between MBTI and I would say it's kind of shunned on because from what I know, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that I think it was Isabel Briggs Myers. I think that, yeah, it says that the Briggs Myers family say that she's a very complicated person, like, as in she was, I don't know if it was her. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was her from what I've read, that, yeah, Isabel Briggs Myers says on this Refinery 29 article, it says that Isabel Briggs Myers had written a widely racist novel, and that the test in the one of the classic MBTI tests says that it contains traces of her racist, sexist, ableist, and classist ideals. And I don't think personality is really able to be that. I don't think your personal beliefs should go onto someone's personality type. I don't think there's a certain race that is a certain personality type, but that's a different topic at hand that I'll probably, if I ever continue this podcast at my own house, I might talk about that. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. And I don't know. I think that's just the topic at hand is very, not serious, but it's serious to me. And I think it's really interesting to talk about how 16 Personalities is informing those new to personality typology in kind of the wrong way. And I know they don't even say that it's strictly MBTI on their page, but it really makes people think it is because they use the same letterings. But that's just my opinion. And if I share this anywhere outside of school, then don't get mad at me. That's just my thing. So yeah, that was my podcast, and I hope you liked it, and this was a very fun school assignment, and I really hope to do more little talking things later on.